Algebra students, have I told you lately that I miss you? Because I do miss you guys. I hope that you are having a great start to your week. Please don't forget that you can always be asking us for help. Message us on Schoology, or if you let the deans know that you need help, or whoever's doing your daily check-in, they'll contact us. We would really love to make sure that you are being successful. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the 7-4A and 7-4B today on this worksheet. Okay, we are not going to do 7-4C. That is just something that we decided we could skip because distance learning. So if you want to cross out 7-4C, feel free, but we're going to do 7-4A and 7-4B. Okay, so 7-4A, today we're going to be able to identify the characteristics of a graph. So characteristics means different parts. So we're going to be able to identify parts of a graph. And we're going to translate. Translate means to change. So like if you translate English to Spanish, you're changing the language. So we're going to translate a graph into an equation. So we're going to change the graph into an equation in slope-intercept form. So remember slope? Today we're working on it with a graph. So we're going to think rise over run. There's two ways to do slope. Rise over run is one of them. Our y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay? And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So last week and the week before, you were working on having an equation and making a graph out of it. Now we're just doing it but backwards. Okay, so we're going to write the equation of this line in slope-intercept form. The first thing that we need for slope and slope-intercept form is we need to know what is the slope and what is the y-intercept. Those are the two parts. So to find slope, we need to find 2 points on this graph. So remember that's where this crosshairs, kind of where it goes over that background where those three. Okay, so here's a point. That's not one because it doesn't have the horizontal. It's nice that I have this plus sign so I can kind of see if it makes a plus in the background. Here it makes a plus. Okay, no, no, no. We really only need 2 points, but we can do all three if that works. And we're going to do our rise and run. So I like to go up. So I always like to rise up, run over. Rise up, run over. Either way, you should get the same answer. You could do it the other way as well. So every time we do this, my rise, it goes up 1, and it runs over, and we count the jumps. So it goes over 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I need to think, is this a positive or a negative slope? Is this going to go uphill, puff, puff, positive, or downhill? Nice, negative. This one's going downhill, and I know that because we always start on the left and go to the right, and it's going downwards. So it's going to be -1/4. Okay, that's the slope. Now our y-intercept is where it crosses that y-axis. Okay, our y-axis is our vertical axis. That is a beautiful straight line, Miss Morel. Thank you, guys. Just kidding. But our y-intercept here is 2. So the y-intercept is 0, 2. So now we need to fill in the y equals mx plus b. And m is the slope, and b is that y-intercept. I'm just going to put int for intercept. So we're going to say y equals, and m comes first. So m is our slope, and our slope is -1/4. So -1/4 x plus, and then where does it cross that y-intercept? Crossed it at 0, 2, because that's my b. My b is that y-intercept crosses that at 2. So y equals -1/4 x plus 2. That's it. Okay, we're just going to practice with a few more. If you want to try and work ahead, you can. Okay, so we're going to identify our slope. Our slope is rise over run. And try and make sure I do this with green today. Rise over run. I'm going to notice that this is a puff, puff, positive slope. It's going uphill. So I'm going to find some points. No. This one has a horizontal. No, no. Right here, it has that vertical and that horizontal in the background, okay? Not a point, nope, nope, yep. No, 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 yep. Okay, and we really only needed 2 points. I did 3 points, and that's fine. But now we're going to do our rise and our run. So rise up, run over, rise up, run over. I always like to rise up. Okay, because when I'm in court and they say, all rise, I think, oh, I have to stand up. Okay, so I'm going to jump up 1, 2. So each time it jumps up 1, 2. So my rise is 2. And it runs over 1, 2, 3 jumps. Remember, we're counting jumps. Okay, and then like we said, it was puff, puff, positive. It's going uphill. Okay, y-intercept is where it crosses that y-axis. Oh, whoa. That is almost like a perfect straight line. So impressed with myself. Can you tell that I'm bored? Okay, so my y-intercept is right there. And this is 0, so this would be 1 because it's counting by 1. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0, 1. Okay, so this is my B. This is my M. I'm still going to start out with that, with the template. Y equals, and I want MX plus, and then a B. So my M goes first. That's the 2/3. That goes in front of the X. And then plus B. B is the 1. And there's my equation. So if you can find the slope and you can find the y-intercept, you are good to go. Okay, last one. We're going to identify the slope. The first thing that we are noticing, or that I notice about this, is that it's going downhill, down to the negatives. So I know my slope is going to be negative. So that's the first thing I'm going to remember, because if that's the only thing I'm goofing up, IXL is going to be really tough because it's going to count it wrong. Okay, so make sure that it's a negative, and that negative always goes on the top. Okay, so it's going down. So I have a point here, here, here. There's lots of points on this graph. Okay, we could rise up and over if you want, like we have been doing, or if you like to go down and over, you can do it that way too. Remember to follow the vertical and the horizontal. So every time it goes down 1, so it's just 1 jump, and then it runs over 1, so -1 over 1. Now, if we can divide this, we don't want to leave it as -1 over 1. Anytime something's over 1, it's just the top number. So it's just going to be -1. I should have left a little bit more space here. Not bad. For some reason, my eraser is on the biggest setting. -1. That is a terrible -1. -1. Okay, so now we're going to identify the y-intercept. Y-intercept is where it crosses this y-axis. The y-axis is vertical. It goes up and down. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so much better at drawing vertical lines. It's so exciting. And it's right there. Okay, so here's 0, and it goes down 1, 2, 3. So it'd be 0, -3. Okay, so remember y-intercept is the B. My slope is the M. My format is always y equals mx plus b. So my m is -1, so -1x plus my b. B is -3. Now there's a few other ways we could write this. This is probably the best, this is the easiest way, so if you're confused, just write this. This is perfect. Okay, another way we could write this is we could write it as y equals -1x, and instead of saying plus -3, we could say -3, because that means the same thing. That means to start at -3. It still would be starting there. The last way that we could change it is instead of saying -1x, so remember whenever you have that 1, sometimes we like it to be imaginary. So you'd write -x. And then you could say plus -3 or -3, either way. But you don't have to have that 1 there. If you type it in any of these ways into IXL today, or tomorrow, it is going to count it as right. So, and if you type it into the quiz at the end of the week, any of these ways, we will count it right. So I'm just letting you know different ways to write it, different ways you'll see it. Okay, so in order to write an equation in slope-intercept form, since it's called slope-intercept, we need to know m, the slope, and b, the y-intercept. All right, we're getting notes done all in one day. So we're going to go to the next video. If you are just looking at this to review for your IXL, this would be a good place to pause. But if you're doing your notes, I'd flip to the next page with me. So remember, we're also going to do 7.4b today, which means we're going to go from a graph to point slope form. So again, we're just going to identify the parts of a graph. That's what characteristics means, just parts, different parts of it. And translate means to change. So we're going to change this graph into an equation, but it's going to be in point slope form. Okay, we worked with point slope form last week. That was y, nope, it was 2 weeks ago. Y minus y1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x1. Last week we worked in standard form. I get so confused. Okay, remember ordered pair is just an x, y. And again, slope we're going to be doing as rise over run. I'm running out of room here, and you can see it right here. So if you need to, just draw an arrow there. Okay, so we're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form using the indicated point. It's really hard to see the point, so if you need to mark it, it was way up here at the very top. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is find the slope. So we're going to do rise and run just like we did on the other side. So here's a point here, and then a point here. And then this one was the indicated point. So you want to make that one really big, or if you have a different color, make it a different color. Okay, and I knew it was the indicated point because it was there before we started. All right, so we're going to rise, run. Whoops, that was a rise, run, rise, run, rise, run. Okay, so it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps, and it runs over 1 every time. This goes up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So remember, if I have it over 1, we want just the top number. We do need to think if this is a puff puff positive or a nice negative. And this is positive, it's going uphill. So 4 over 1 is just going to be 4. Okay, and that's our slope. Our slope is always the m. Okay, now we're going to identify our ordered pairs. So what is this point that was way up there? Okay, so on the x-axis, it's 1, positive 1. And I know that if I just go down, there's positive 1 on my x, and then my y, I just go over and I see 6. Okay, so remember this is my x1, y1. Okay, so I have my m is my slope, that's going to be my 4. Okay, I have my x1, which here my x1 is 1, and I have my y1, which is 6. Okay, it always is going to start off with our form always starts off with y. Now this minus or plus depends on our number. Our y1 is 6. We want to think what's the opposite of 6. Opposite of 6 is minus 6. So we're always thinking opposites. It's kind of goofy. Equals m. M is our slope. So m is 4 times the quantity of, so that's that parenthesis, x. Okay, this is a positive 1. There you go. Positive 1, and the opposite of a positive 1 is a negative 1, so minus 1. Okay? And that's it. All right. Now, in this next one, again, if you can't see your point very well, it's right here. So if you need to make that darker, feel free to do that. Okay, now the good thing about slope-intercept, I cannot talk today, point-slope form, is if you can't see the y-intercept very well, if you're not sure exactly what it is, point-slope form is really great because you don't need that y-intercept. Here we can see it. So here, either one would be easy. Okay, we're going to mark our points. Okay, and then we're going to do our rise and run. So I'm going to go down and over. You could do up and over though, either way. And I want to make sure that this point, I remember that was the indicated point. Indicated just means the point that's shown. Okay, so I'm going to go down 1 and then over 1, 2, 3. So I'm thinking rise and run. Okay, the up and down was 1. And then the over, it jumped over 1, 2, 3. And is this a puff, puff positive or a nice negative? Well, this is going downhill. It's negative, so it's going to be negative 1/3. Okay. Now we're going to identify our ordered pair. So the ordered pair is this guy here. We always do x first, and then the y. And in the point slope form, it's x1 and y1. That's the part that we're replacing. So x is this guy, the horizontal axis. So my x is 3. Because if I just follow that line up, it goes to 3. And my y is negative 4. Okay, another way I could have figured that out is I went right 1, 2, 3, and down 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now when I write this equation, I like to start with y and then equals and then something x. That just helps me put things where they need to go. Okay, so I'm going to start with y, and then I have to think what went with the y. With the y is a negative 4. So I could write it as y minus negative 4. Okay. In IXL, for some reason, they like you to do this. But they will also counterwrite if you say y plus 4, because the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. Okay. I prefer this way. Okay. Now comes m. M is negative 1/3. And then x, and then x1, what went with the x? X1 is 3. So it's positive 3. Opposite of positive 3 is negative 3, so minus 3. Okay, either one of these is right. I like this one better because it's a little bit more formal. More mathematicians will understand this one. But in IXL, for some reason, they do have you type it in this way for the first few. I think once you get to a score of 25, they switch it over to this way. Okay. All right, last one. Okay, we're going to write the equation of this line in point slope form using the indicated point. Indicated point just means which point is given to us. Okay, that means like the given point. So which point did they tell us? They told us this one, if you can't see it. Okay, and then we're going to identify some other points here. Nope. Not quite that one. I think it's right at the 6 here, up here. Just kind of defeating the purpose of what we're doing, but that's okay. So go up and over, and it's going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1, 2, 3, 4. So our rise and our run is 5/4, and it is positive. It's going uphill. Puff, puff, positive. Okay, the ordered pair that they gave us was this one. So I always want to do my x first. So it's x1 and then y1, comma in the middle. Okay, so x, this is my x-axis. It was at negative 4. I just drop down, I see negative 4. My y1, if I go over, is just 1. Okay, so I like to start with that format, y, and then I leave a little space there, equals, little space, parenthesis, x, parenthesis. Okay, that's what's always going to start. Well, not always going to start, but it's always going to have those things in it for sure. Okay, so I'm starting with my y, and I'm asking myself, what is my y from the point? My y from the point is a positive 1, and I'm thinking opposite of positive 1 is minus 1, or negative 1. My slope is 5/4, and I know that's where that goes because that's where my m is, and slope is m. Okay, x. So I think what is the x with the point? The x with the point is a -4. So I think what's the opposite of a -4? That would be a +4. So we're going to say +4. So with point slope form, we're always thinking opposites. Okay, so in order to write an equation in point slope form, we need to know two things. And remember, IXL calls this point gradient. It's kind of goofy. I accidentally registered us underneath South Africa. So South Africans use gradient. That was my bad. Whoops. Okay, you need to know M. M is the slope. And remember, they call that gradient. That was my fault, and I can't change it. It's very annoying. I don't even know how to spell gradient. I think it's an A. I don't know. Okay, and x1, y1 is a point or an ordered pair. Okay, remember to think opposite with that point. All right, and that's it.